So enlightenment is key in management of any disease, be it asthma or anything, because for the patients, if they understand their disease, they deal with the disease, they would know what to tell their doctor, what is important, what is not important. They would have a choice on the best medication, like for instance, for the asthmatics, the inhalers. They could, tell you the best, say, device that works for them, and they'll know what should be and what shouldn't be, when they should seek help and when they shouldn't, when it's serious and when it's not. Importantly, when you educate patients about asthma being triggered by having certain triggers, we call them allergens. When you educate them about that, that is an environmental, the environment has a key role to play in their disease. You educate them about that there are allergens or triggers in the environment. You educate them about certain types of triggers that they could be susceptible to, and you educate them that the very first step in their asthma care is to be able to identify these triggers or allergens, meaning for that particular individual, because allergens or triggers could differ from patient to patient. What the patient A has as triggers might not necessarily be what triggers patients B asthma. So educating them that there are certain triggers, what they are or what they could possibly be, and then telling them to avoid these triggers will go a long way, in managing their asthma. Because, as I said, it's an the environment has a lot to play in, asthma. So, if I may add to what Dr. Paul said concerning the patient that, change environment from being in Nigeria to going abroad, and then the asthma symptoms abated. So what happens is that not only having to go out of the country, it's, like patients they come with symptoms, and the symptoms are not getting resolved. So what you should, investigate, part of your investigation to find the cause of, their symptoms, worsening symptoms, is their environment, the particular environment they are in. What are the likely allergens or triggers that are in the environment? And you could go further to ask them, okay, so is it likely that when you say, probably if you're in a boarding house, is it likely that when you come back home from school, do you have less attacks or more attacks? Or say you travel from one state to the other, or say you go on a sleepover or something to another house, when you are in certain environment, do you have more asthma triggers, asthma attacks than others? So meaning if you do, then these certain allergies that triggers your asthma are contained in that environment. So you see, you educate patient on the asthma, particularly that it is genetic, meaning that that individual is predisposed to it. So it's inherent in you. However, if you avoid certain triggers or allergens, you will not come down with symptoms. So it's important for patients to know that. Secondly, you also educate them on the importance of their asthma medication and the technique of using their inhalers. So as when talking to patients, as I tell them, your asthma relief is as good as your inhaler technique. So if it's good, you'll be able to deliver the required dose to where the medication will act to open your airway. So that is to, and then again to educate them that there are certain things that, you know, when they experience, particularly when they have an asthma attack and then they've used their inhalers for like say 3 times in 30 minutes and it's still not getting better, they should know that they should be able to present themselves to the hospital and what to expect in the hospital. And then again, as Dr. Paul has earlier mentioned, they should be educated and given an action plan right before, you know, when they are stable, before symptoms occur, so that they'll be able to know at each step of, you know, their disease or exacerbation or attack what they can do. So now this is educating the patient. Then it's also important to educate or to make healthcare professionals aware, to increase awareness of asthma, particularly when it comes to management. There's, well, I don't know if it's obtainable you know, elsewhere, but then locally where I practice, there's a misconception that when you use your inhaler, the more you use your inhaler, the worse your asthma gets. And then, you know, they tell you that, you know, when patients tell you this, then that means they could meet any other health professional. So every health professional should be, you know, made aware of, you know, patients' misconceptions, to start with, what asthma is, you know, the myths that patients have about asthma, so that you'll be armed to be able to educate your patient effectively, to be able to, you know, do away with that myth. So again, with regards to awareness, stakeholders too need to be aware about asthma. There are policy makers, you know, and other stakeholders, the government, you know, and all that need to be aware of asthma, its impact on, you know, the societal health, its impact on, you know, its economic burden and all that. And particularly recently that, you know, we've had well, a shortage of inhalers, you know, due to, you know, some reasons. It's particularly important that policymakers, stakeholders are being aware about the importance of asthma and importance of asthma medication. Breath is life. Breathing is everything. Asthmatics, they have problem of breathing. So they depend on their medication. They cannot afford to go without their medication. So yes, awareness is key in management of asthma for the patient, for the healthcare givers, and for policymakers. So thank you.